Number 17, James Macy says, a Muslim asked, why did the Gospel of Matthew ascribe the prophecy in Isaiah 7 to Jesus, when that prophecy describes events which didn't happen within centuries in Jesus's lifetime? Thanks, Mike. Okay, I understand what you're saying, I think. Isaiah 7, let's just look at the passage. And then I'll try to offer my understanding of James's question here. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Curds and honey he shall eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. Before the child shall know. Now, this is we take to be about Jesus, right? But he's going to say that, but the other stuff didn't happen around the life of Jesus. So before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that you dread will be forsaken by both her kings. The Lord will bring the king of Assyria upon you, and your people and your father's house, days that have not come since the day that Ephraim departed from Judah. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord will whistle for the fly that is in the farthest parts of the rivers of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. You need to understand the symbolic nature of these animals to understand this passage better, the bee and the fly and all that. But we're running out of time. They will come, and all of them will rest in the desolate valleys and the clefts of the rocks, and on all thorns and in all pastures. The same day, the Lord will shave with a hired razor with those from beyond the river, with the king of Assyria, the head and the hair of the legs, and also remove the beard. He's going to let these other kings come in and embarrass and shame those people is the idea. You really have to understand their culture a lot to understand these passages well, I think. So, but the idea is basically this. In Isaiah 7, it's like, hey, this is the thing, a virgin will conceive. And then there's, before he's getting any age, before he's like a year old, all this stuff's going to happen. Okay, so this could be taken one of two ways. This stuff happened closer to the time of Isaiah, so it all happened, then Jesus shows up. So it was before the child comes, it all happens. Or it could be taken as like, oh, this is Isaiah's kid. Isaiah has a kid. These things are going to happen within the next year. And so that happens. But as you read the passage in more detail, and you got to read Isaiah, and I'll just give you some homework because of the sake of time on today's stream. If you read Isaiah 7 all the way through Isaiah 9, maybe 10, you're going to see that there's a connection to Isaiah's kid with this virgin shall conceive, but it's not a full connection. There's a connection to Jesus, or to the Messiah, the ultimate Messiah. And that's why you read further passages, you keep reading, and you realize this child it relates to Isaiah's time, but in a fuller and complete way, it relates to the Messiah. And there's I know there's a number of questions that come up, and people are, oh, well, it's like you're just making stuff up as you want to get. No. There's a strong exegetical case for all these things. I just don't have time to do it in the Q&A. So I apologize for that. So yeah, the other stuff you might see is sometimes you have messianic prophecies that talk about judgment coming when the Messiah comes. And the thing is, the Messiah has two comings. Okay, so all of his showing up, it's two very far separated events, once for salvation, once for judgment. And you could say salvation to those who receive, and judgment for those who do not. So then those are mingled. One way of looking at it is a lot of times in the Old Testament, the prophets are looking at this far off thing, like the first and second coming of Christ. And they're like two mountains in the distance. And if you just saw these two mountain peaks, in the distance, they might just look like a little M, almost like it was one mountain. And so if you're describing them, not knowing the timing of them, as Scripture affirms, they don't know the timing. They just know it's going to happen. That you could be describing first and second coming events right next to each other. And this was part of what kept the gospel a mystery. This is a much longer discussion, but actually a lot of the New Testament explains this in a lot of detail. So just have to say, read the Bible.